For the past 7 years, I've been working on an urban fantasy series that I call the Eldenarian Artifacts. And since the beginning of the year, I have started work on the 5th and final book on that series. I've been in the process of recording a vlog documenting my progress so far, and in the middle of filming it, I realized that this is the 5th book in a series of 5 books that no one who subscribed to my YouTube, aside from a few people, really know anything about. So I realized that you guys probably need a little bit of context regarding the entire series and the book that I'm working on, the Ivory Crypt, as a whole. So that's what this video is for. As I stated before, I've been working on this series since October of 2017. That was almost 8 years ago, and I am finally working on the 5th and final book in that series called the Ivory Crypt. I'm gonna dive into the world of the series for a bit. The Eldenarian Artifacts is the second series that I came up with for the Eternal Keyverse, and it is currently the largest of any of the series that I have planned. It's 5 books. I'll get into some stats of the word counts real quick actually. The first book in the series, the BLACK LOTUS, is 98,000 words long. The second book, the Ocean Siege, is 84,000 words long. The third book, the Blood Wolves, is 97,000 words long. And the fourth and most recent book that I completed in this series, the Storm Tower, is 108k words. And currently, I'm on chapter 10 of the Ivory Crypt, and it sits at about 36,000 words. And if you guys want to check up on my progress that I'm updating every day, you guys can join the Track Bear leaderboard that I'm on. The link will be in the description, and you guys can also track your own progress. But yeah, let's get back on track. So yeah, that's how long the series is so far. I guess if you add up all those words, I didn't do that, so I don't know the number off the top of my head. But if I can do some quick maths real quick, it's about 500k words long. Will probably be around that long when it's all said and done. And yeah, it's a pretty hefty series, and it's taken me a lot of time to get it right, taking me a lot of time to figure out the world, to do some world building, figuring out the characters. The first book actually, its first iteration was very different from how it is now, but one of the main things that was different was that it was written in first person and it only had one point of view. The story was only going to have one point of view. But then I realized that another character needed a point of view, and we are here where we are with the series today. So yeah, it's the second series in the Eternal Keyverse. It explores the magical sector of the universe. So a little bit of context, the Eternal Keyverse is basically my version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe just with books. So there's different sectors of the universe that explore different themes and different ideas. There's the superhero sector, there's the magic sector, there's the space sector, there's the history sector. There's all kinds of things that I have planned. The Eldenarian Artifacts dives into the magic side of things. And this series takes place on modern day Earth, actually. So that's pretty cool. Urban fantasy is one of my favorite types of fantasy. So that's why I made the decision of having it take place on Earth instead of another planet or an alternate reality. And despite it taking place on our Earth, all of the magic users and all the magic related stuff and the creatures and all those things are kind of hidden from society and hidden from humanity. There's hidden cities throughout the world that the magicians live in and that they've been living in for thousands of years now. And there's elements of altered history. I've made it so certain historical figures are actually magicians, which kind of explains some of the things they've been able to do. I won't get into that. That's something you guys can figure out if you read the books, which are all on my Wattpad. All the first and second drafts are all on my Wattpad. Links are always in the description if you guys want to go check those out. But yeah, I created a whole magic system for this series. I created lore that goes back thousands of years. And yeah, throughout the 5 books, we visit multiple of the magic cities that I mentioned. And we also go through a number of real world settings. Like, for example, in the first book, my characters start off in Montreal, and then they make their way through America on their way to Washington State, and they make a stop in Vegas, which was actually one of my favorite things to write. And yeah, there's a mix of fantasy settings and real world settings, which is always my favorite type of fantasy, when you can blend in the fantastical with the more modern real world. Now that some of that background is done, let me get into the main characters of this series. As far as protagonists go, we have Makaela and Sebastian Todorov. These are the only two characters that have point of views. They carry the story, and they are literally my babies. I've been writing these characters for so long. I've put them through so much. If they were alive, they would probably try and kill me, and honestly, I would not blame them. I put them all through so much. But let's start with Makaela. So, in the series, the whole plot is kind of kicked off before the first book even starts, years before the first book even starts, but it's all kicked off by this prophecy that's called the Prophecy of 8. It details eight different figures that each play their different role, and one of the first roles mentioned is the Black Lotus, the name of the first book, and the Black Lotus is actually the main antagonist of the series, and he finds out about the prophecy first and misinterprets it and realizes that, well, he misinterprets it and then decides that he needs to collect all 7 Eldenarian artifacts. Each of the 7 magical houses has their own artifact that controls a specific facet of magic, and he realizes that he needs to go on a quest to collect all 7 in order to save the magicians of the world. He misinterprets the prophecy, so everything he thinks about it is wrong. His quest is wrong, but obviously he doesn't know that. So, going back to Makaela, her role in the prophecy is as the light. I won't explain anything past that, but yeah, that's basically that. Makaela is the light. She is a light weaver, meaning she has power over light magic. She comes from House Lumai, which is home of the light magicians, but the Black Lotus, the first book in the series, picks up with her 10 years after Thorian, the Black Lotus, has murdered almost everyone in her family and everyone in House Lumai. So she was forced to go into hiding with her uncle and her cousin, and that's where the first book starts. Her role as the light, she's basically destined to save the world in the fight against Thorian, who is the Black Lotus. As a character, she's a little tricky to write because she's a girl. I'm a guy. It's kind of tough writing opposite gender, but it's not that hard, but sometimes it's hard. But as a character, personality wise, she's very brave, but she's a little bit naive when it comes to that bravery. As she tends to rush into things. She can be quite hot-headed. She's not very understanding because of everything that's happened to her. She kind of has internalized her own fear and hurt and pain and projects it onto other people. And she's also very loyal, almost to a fault, where it actually gets her into trouble numerous times throughout the series. I will not say anything other than that because anything outside of that is definitely a spoiler. But yeah, that's pretty much all you guys need to know about Makaela. Let's get into Sebastian, who is one of my favorite characters in the entire Eternal Keyverse. His role in the prophecy is as the king, which was previously thought to be Thorian, his father actually. Thorian is his father. Previously, Thorian thought he was the king. He didn't realize he was the Black Lotus until later on. But Sebastian is actually the king. But yeah, going into his character, he's the son of Thorian, who is the leader of House Tenebris, which is home of the Shadow Weavers, the Shadow Magicians. And in the Black Lotus, the first book, Sebastian is about to complete his final trial to become a master Shadow Weaver. And his final trial actually is to accompany his father on the mission to track down and kill Makaela and her family. And he has a vision and realizes that he cannot carry out this task and actually turns on his family and in turn rescues Makaela and goes on the run with her. So yeah, a lot of shenanigans happen from that point. He's kind of disowned by his family, including his father and his twin sister, who is one of the main antagonists in the story, Amora Todorov. And yeah, I love Sebastian. He's very moody, he's very emo, very dramatic, but he's a great fighter. He's very strong-willed. He doubts himself a lot, but like, he really is one of the greatest characters that I've written, and I just can't wait to complete his character arc in the Ivory Crypt. And yeah, I think I touched most bases with him. I think I touched on his personality. He's very reclusive. He gets in his own head a lot. He can be very snarky and a little mean at times, but he does that really to protect himself and to protect other people because he doesn't like getting close to people because he has abandonment issues for reasons that I will not get into, because that actually is a part of the main plot of the 5th book, which I'll probably touch on in another video. But yeah, that's all you guys need to know about Sebastian. Now, moving on to the main antagonist of the book. I've mentioned him already, Thorian Todorov, the Black Lotus. And yeah, the Prophecy of 8 really kind of kickstarted everything. He misinterprets it and goes on this whole quest to collect the artifacts. And when he's met with opposition, he takes the most drastic measure possible and attacks House Lumai, which in turn turns into a full-on genocide of the Lightweavers. Throughout the entire series, he's going around attacking all the other houses, breaking all kinds of rules, killing all kinds of people, and collecting the artifacts. And when we meet him again in the Ivory Crypt, he is wounded from the end of the Storm Tower, which is the 4th book, but he has 5 of the 7 artifacts. Makaela and Sebastian are still in control of theirs, but all the other ones he has control over. And if he manages to get hold of those last 2, it's pretty much a game over. And now we got our minor characters. We got Remy, Makaela's little cousin. We've got Thorian, who is Makaela's one of her love interests. Sebastian was the main love interest, and once Thorian is introduced in the Blood Wolves, the 3rd book, he becomes her secondary love interest. There's kind of, it's not a love triangle, I wouldn't say, but it's like she has 2 options and is kind of stuck on which one to go for. But yep, there's Thorian, who is a werewolf, and there's Corinne, who's introduced in the Storm Tower. I love Corinne, great character. She is from House Vaya, who are weather magicians. They can control the weather, conjure lightning, stuff like that. They are also all monks. So Corinne is a monk, but she's not one of the traditional kind of monks. And then we've got Ajax, my battle mage. He is from House Bringier. They are like Vikings. They have a mastery over combat and battle magic. And we've got Siren, who is from House Aegeon. They are tide callers, I call them. They just have a mastery over water magic and healing magic. And last but not least, for minor characters, we've got Imogen, who is a very, very important character, and she has the title of the Bridge because she is responsible for bridging together the magicians and the select few humans who do know of the existence of magic and who actually actively hunt down magicians and kill them. So she is the bridge between those 2 groups. I won't go any more on that because those are spoilers for other books. But yeah, those are pretty much the main minor characters who are on the good side. In terms of like minor antagonists, I don't feel like there's any that I need to mention outside of Amora, who is just Sebastian's sister. The best comp that I can think of for her character is Azula from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And Sebastian is also really like Zuko a lot. Actually, that whole family is kind of modeled after, you know, Zuko, Ozai, and Azula, which is really cool. They're very different, of course, but like at the core, that's kind of who I think I based their characters off of. So yeah, Amora, she's insane, very powerful. She's Sebastian's younger twin sister. I think she was born a couple minutes after he was. And yeah, those are pretty much the main characters of the entire series. Now, I want to get into some of the main themes that the Eldenarian Artifacts touches upon throughout the 5 books that I've been writing. And some of those themes are legacy. There's a lot of talk about legacy, specifically through Makaela and her shouldering the weight of being one of the last living Lightweavers. Like, if she were to die, there would be no one else to carry on the legacy of House Umai because she's the last woman in the entire house. If she dies, House Umai dies with her. And that's kind of one of the main things she has to bear. And then legacy in terms of Sebastian is he's the son of the world's largest villain. Like, Thorian is actually actively trying to destroy the world. And he is that man's son. And everyone, when everyone looks at Sebastian, they see his father. And he really struggles with stepping out of that shadow and trying to be something better, something greater. And yeah, those are just how the themes of legacy relate to the entire book. Next up, we got themes of power. That's relating to mostly Makaela and Thorian, as they both receive a large amount of power throughout the series. That culminates at the end of the Storm Tower, where they both receive a really big upgrade. And that goes directly into the 5th book. And eventually the 2 of them will meet, and whoever comes out on top is just whoever's the strongest. And lastly, we got the theme of destiny, which really kind of covers 8 characters throughout the book, because the Prophecy of 8 deals with 8 of my characters. So yeah, those are like the main themes. Of course, there's other themes, like there's found family, there's themes of forgiveness, themes of betrayal, themes of family. There's just all kinds of themes, but the 3 ones that I mentioned are kind of like the main ones that almost every book touches upon. let's see. I'm trying to figure out. I have all this stuff written down on the document. I'm trying to figure out what to talk about next. Oh, I did forget some small background things about the magicians themselves. I call them magicians throughout the book, but there is like an older term that they reference, but many of them don't use because of reasons. But they are called the Majus. It's spelled Majus. And that's like the scientific name of them. The only people who really use that term are the people from House Tenebris, and that's because they are kind of a little, I won't say racist, but they value pure blood really highly. And so I guess going into other themes that are present throughout the series, there's themes of classism between the two different types of Majus, because there are two types. There are the pure bloods, which I call Promagi, and then there are the ones who have interbreeded with regular humans and their magic has gotten weaker throughout the generations, and those are called the No-Magi. So yeah, certain Promagi are a little racist, so they don't use that term. They use magicians because it kind of includes everybody. But yeah, there's that. And then I also forgot to mention that throughout the series there is a secondary antagonist to the Order of the Black Lotus, which is the group of dark magicians that Thorian is leader of, and they are called the Children of Azrael / Archangels. They got two names. Their old names, the Children of Azrael, was their founder, and then their like modernized name is the Archangels. And basically, I think I mentioned them before, but they are a select few group of humans who still know that magic exists, and they deem all magicians, no matter what kind you are, they deem them all threats and actively go out into the world and try to find their cities and try to hunt them all down and try to kill them. So yeah, I think I touched base on everything. And before I get more in depth into what the Ivory Crypt is going to be about, I want to kind of read out all the blurbs of the 5 books because I feel like that would be kind of cool. Up until this point, I feel like I haven't said much that's too spoilery, but if you do end up wanting to read the drafts that I do have up on Wattpad, anything after this point is a spoiler. I will put a timestamp on the video and in the description as well, so you can skip ahead to the next point of the video where I'm not spoiling anything. But I will be reading the blurbs of the books, and because they follow an order, there are spoilers in the later ones. So if you guys do not want to be spoiled, do not exit the video. Just skip ahead to this timestamp. I'll put it up on screen. But yeah, I'm gonna get into reading those blurbs now.
For 10 years after the Purge, Makaela and her surviving family have been hiding. When they are finally found by the Order of the Black Lotus, Makaela is forced to reconcile with her past and embark on a quest to embrace her destiny. For Sebastian's entire life, he's trained to join the Order, a secret group of dark magicians led by his father. But after one fateful night, he betrays his family to save Makaela, the girl from his past. Together, they must prevent the Order from collecting the Eldenarian Artifacts, 7 ancient relics capable of granting their wielders unparalleled magic. But a dark seed grows within them both. Black flowers sprout in the darkest of nights, and soon they'll either wither or bloom. That is, if the Order doesn't kill them first. Following Makaela's decision, Thorian and the Order of the Black Lotus have only grown in strength, and they already have their eyes set on another artifact. However, a betrayed and hurt Sebastian is determined to put an end to his father's tyranny. While he and his group embark on a quest to warn House Aegeon of the Order's treachery, Makaela struggles to fit in as a new member of the Order of the Black Lotus. But as her demonic nature grows stronger in the depths of her soul, she learns the dark arts come naturally to her. When Thorian creates a plan to acquire another Eldenarian artifact, he entrusts Makaela and his own daughter, Amora, with a special mission. The clock is ticking for both sides. Soon, the siege will be upon them. The siege of House Aegeon has left Makaela broken and confused. Her newfound demonic abilities have been stifled, and she struggles to shake the numbness that followed the removal of her powers. Meanwhile, Sebastian and the others have traveled to the Eldenarian palace to warn the rest of the council about the Order of the Black Lotus. They embark on a journey to Central Africa to liberate House Oseda from the Order of the Black Lotus's rule and to prevent them from acquiring yet another artifact. But when a pack of bloodthirsty werewolves, a pair of powerful monsters, and vicious magician hunters emerge onto the scene, things become way more complex than they anticipated. The wolves are on the hunt, and their fangs are dripping with blood. After narrowly escaping the Order of the Black Lotus, Sebastian and the others realize they are no match for them. At least, not without help. A desperate plan to help them in the upcoming war sees the magicians propose an alliance with the mortal enemy. To defeat the Order, the magicians and their hunters will have to set aside their differences and fight as one. Following her retreat to the snowy Himalayas after breaking free from the Order, Makaela has been training with the monks of House Vaya. With their help, she has regained control of her demonic abilities while acquiring a few new skills. But after learning that Lumi, the goddess of light, is fading, she embarks on a quest to save the old god. A storm is coming, and no one will escape its wrath unscathed.
Okay, so now, I think everyone should be caught up now. And if you aren't, I apologize. I've probably done a terrible job of explaining everything. I've tried to keep it all organized. I have everything in this like notes on my laptop right here. That's why I'm sitting on my bed actually. I've never recorded on my bed like this before. I even tried to get my whiteboard in frame. I wrote a message on there. I think because my camera is auto blurring the background, you can't see it. But all it says is, make sure you subscribe and like the video. I'm on the road to 1,000. I'm currently at like 840 something. So make sure if you're not subscribed, subscribe and like the video because it really helps me out. But yeah, now that you guys are fully caught up, let me get into what the Ivory Crypt is really going to be about. So at this point in the series, both sides are reeling from the conflict at the end of the Storm Tower, the 4th book. And Makaela has been honing her new abilities while Sebastian and the Eldenarian Council is preparing for the final battle in the war that they've been fighting. Meanwhile, the Order of the Black Lotus has gone into hiding once again, but this time they've fully vanished off the earth, like no one can find them at all. There are only 2 artifacts away from completing Thorian's quest of obtaining all 7 Eldenarian artifacts. My main characters cannot allow him to obtain the last 2, which both happen to be rings. The Ring of Lightness, which I call the Illumio, and the Ring of Darkness, which is called the Obscurio. And at this point in the series, Thorian has been fully consumed by the god of chaos. And once he gets all 7 artifacts, the entire world will be lost. Like there's nothing anyone will be able to do about it. So that's kind of the main plot of this book. It's been the main plot of the entire series, but they've been failing to stop him this far. And they have 2 more artifacts to prevent him from getting before they fail completely. Now, since this book in series is dual point of views, there's always like 2 different plots going on. So I'll get into Makaela's plot thread right now. Makaela must revisit her old home and face her past in order to find a solution that will help her in the fight against Thorian and the Order of the Black Lotus. She brings along her most trusted companions and meets someone along the way who shouldn't be alive but somehow is. Back in her home city of Lumosia, which was the headquarters of House Lumai, she's returned for the first time since the Purge, which was the event where everyone in her house was murdered. Makaela uncovers secrets that may turn the tide in the war. But will the trauma of revisiting her own home and opening old wounds prove to be too much for her? Or will she conquer her fears and end the fight against evil for good? So that's pretty much her plot for this book. She goes back home. There's a lot of memories tied to her old home that she hasn't been to in 10 years. And there's just a lot of internal struggle that she has to go through. And next up, we got Sebastian's plot thread. Now holding a premier position in the Eldenarian Council, Sebastian must embark on a quest of his own if he is to discover his father's ultimate plan. After questioning his captured twin sister, he reluctantly brings her along on his journey as they travel to the underworld in search of answers. Once in the realm of death, Sebastian's own childhood trauma and the mystery of his mother's disappearance resurface. Will his own self-doubt and trauma drag him down, or will he rise above it all and become the king he was destined to be? So yeah, those are pretty much the two plots that we're dealing with in this book. I crafted them in a way to fully wrap up both characters' arcs the way I've started them in the beginning and the way I want them to end by the end of this book. So at the moment, I'm really enjoying what I'm writing so far. I think what I've been writing regarding their struggles and their plot lines has been like some of the best writing I've ever done. And yeah, the previous books before this have been very action heavy, I've noticed. And I'm currently 10 chapters in this draft of the Ivory Crypt, and not a single fight scene has happened, which is very abnormal for me. There's been a lot of internal conflict so far in this book. Things are definitely going to ramp up once we get towards the second act, but like the first act is very kind of cerebral, it's very internal. They're just dealing with a lot of their mental struggles, which I think is pretty cool. It gives this book a different kind of feel. It's kind of like the calm before the crazy ass storm that's coming at the end. And yeah, basically this entire book and the entire fate of the world hinges on Makaela and Sebastian being able to overcome their internal struggles. And yeah, I'm really enjoying what I'm writing so far, and I cannot wait to share my progress with you. I'm pretty much done with my first vlog. I just wanted to kind of record this kind of background video just so you guys had a bit more context about the series as a whole and the book that I'm going to be writing for the next 2 months. So yeah, I hope you guys are as excited to learn about it as I am. Now, there's things about the book that I can't mention for the sake of spoilers and also for the fact that I just don't know them yet. But in terms of things that I'm excited for in this book, I'm really excited to get to the final battle, because this is one of the scenes, or it's going to be multiple scenes, of course, but this is one of the things that I thought of when I first came up with the idea for the book. The way I kind of plotted out this series, I really thought of I came up with the prophecy, I came up with all of their roles, and then I came up with the ending images for the entire series. Like everything else I came up with along the way, but I came up with those things first, and the war at the end was one of the things that I was looking forward to the most of writing. And after 7 long years, I'm one step closer to actually getting to write those scenes. So that's probably what I'm excited about the most. Of course, I'm excited about wrapping up all the plot threads and, answering all the questions and, leaving some at the end, because I always do that. But yeah, in terms of the thing that I'm excited for the most, it's definitely getting to that final battle in the war. Now, if you guys have made it this far in the video, I hope you guys have enjoyed learning about this world as much as I've enjoyed crafting it for you. And be sure to subscribe, like this video, comment what you are looking forward to in my upcoming vlog series, and make sure you stick around and have notifications on for when I actually post the vlog, because after this video comes out, the first vlog will probably be going up shortly after that. So you guys are going to want to stay tuned. I've been LDJ Writes, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.